Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Easter Eggs, the series where we cover some of the best Easter eggs found in video games. In today's episode, we threaten a skull with a long drop in Waltz of the Wizard, we trip major balls in Schedule 1, and we try to run away from home in Schoolboy Runaway. As always, if you think you know of an Easter egg, secret or hidden detail that I'm yet to cover, then let me know in the comments, and if I use it in a video, I'll feature your name in the credits. Anyway, without further delay, let's get started. Right, let's begin today's video with Schoolboy Runaway. Schoolboy Runaway is a game about a schoolboy that wants to run away. I mean, the clue is in the name. Unfortunately, your escape attempts are often stopped by your parents, who will be quick to give you a slap before sending you back to your room. Now, given this set of circumstances, you'd think that the schoolboy in question would rather be anywhere than at home with his Mike Tyson-inspired mum. But if spending the summer as a cow taught me anything, it's that the grass isn't always greener, and that farmers have surprisingly soft hands.
Oh, that's so good! It's so good!
Anyway, if you climb on the roof of the house and then walk on these surprisingly sturdy cables, you can land on the fence and escape. Job done. Here's the thing, you might have escaped your slap-happy parents, but if you continue walking away from your house, this will happen. So you're teleported to the backrooms, which in typical backrooms fashion seems pretty empty. Well, when exploring these same corridors and rooms over and over again, I started to hear a noise. Now admittedly, I'm not the foremost expert on all things backrooms, so I'm not entirely sure what this creature is, but what I do know is, it's really damn creepy. As far as I could tell, there was no way to escape these backrooms, and after being caught by the monster, the schoolboy wakes up from his quote-unquote dream. So every day, I wake up and thank my lucky stars that I get to play games for my job. I've had jobs where I had to make 200 phone calls a day to people who really didn't want to be called, so you can imagine how that went. So being able to play games like Balatro, all in the name of work, is pretty damn cool. The thing is, I do have to try and justify my time spent with certain games by making videos on them. See my Schedule 1 video as an example. And that's why I'm sharing a pretty unremarkable Easter egg from Balatro in today's video. Hey, at least I'm honest. In Balatro, you can choose Joker cards that will affect how your run goes. Some offer chips, multiplier, money, or something else. But the card that we're interested in today is the mail-in rebate. This common Joker is a handy card to pick up, as if you discard the correct card, you'll be rewarded with cash. Now, written on the card is an address, that being 129 West 81st Street, Apartment 5A, New York. Now, you might think that this is a random address, but I'm here to blow your mind and tell you that it isn't. This address is actually the fictional address of Jerry Seinfeld and Cosmo Kramer from the massively popular TV show Seinfeld. Personally, I've never seen the show, so I'm not sure what the significance of a mail-in rebate is to it, but this is definitely one of the obscure references in video games. So when looking for Easter eggs, you need to take your time, scour the environment, search every nook and cranny, and load up Haiti too. But that's kind of hard to do when you only have 10 seconds to live and the only way to extend the time of your life is to end someone else's. Well, thankfully, in the really good Mullet MadJack, you can turn the timer off and play the game as a boomer shooter. Hey, its words, not mine. I mean, doing so removes a lot of the threat and a lot of the fun, but it also makes finding Easter eggs a whole lot easier. First up, on one of the computer screens, you can find a message that normally you would have no time to read. But now, without the constraints of Father Time, we can see that it says, "What are you trying to accomplish here? Your life is so meaningless that you are here trying to read this."
Ouch, baby. Very ouch.
At least I expect you just take a screenshot to read this, right? I hope your life is okay and things are good in your neighbourhood. I hope you're doing just fine. Have a nice day. So what started as a pretty brutal attack on my entire existence, which revolves around stopping to read everything in games, the message ends on a more upbeat note, which is nice. The other screen of note in Mullet MadJack is this Metal Gear inspired codec screen, which sees Stalin, I think, congratulating somebody called Snakeovsky, which is definitely one of the weirder things I've seen today. Now, I've already explained that Scully from Waltz of the Wizard will react to pretty much anything that you do. Scully is a very clever skull, and will react to pretty much anything you do. See? I did say that. Well, if you even dare walk towards the window with him in hand, he will immediately shit his non-existent pants.
Hey, let's back away from the window, okay? I don't like it here.
Now, of course, you're going to chuck Scully out of the window. I mean, it'd be rude not to, but he soon returns asking that you don't do it again.
Do you know how long it took me to get back up here? Don't throw me out again!
Well, after one too many attempts, there is a chance that Scully will do this.
Ah! No, don't throw me! Don't throw me! Ah! I'm gonna give you up! I'm gonna let you down!
So, after being repeatedly thrown out the window, Scully will resort to singing the Rick Astley classic, Never Gonna Give You Up. Of all the Rick rolls in games, this might be one of the most unexpected. Now, some of the most fun that you can have in a multiplayer game is watching a friend make a fool of themselves. It's even better if you're dead and spectating them. That way you get to soak the whole embarrassing moment in. Well, in the recently released Verdansk map in Warzone, you can find someone who has done one of the most embarrassing things you can do in the game. At the Boneyard, you can find this. So this poor soldier was trying to call in a supply drop, only to get his bearings all wrong and end up under the crate. If you've ever played with a friend and seen this happen to them, you'll know how funny this is. Now, I don't know about you, but I've noticed that a lot of video game Easter eggs centre around rubber ducks. Apart from the obvious like find 100 ducks and blast them, games like Hitman and Just Cause 3 have also featured rubber duck themed Easter eggs. I mean, I have no point to make here, it's just something I've noticed. Another game to add to the growing list of rubber duck adoring games is Meeside. Near the beginning of the game, you can find 3 rubber ducks, and staring at them will cause this to happen. The first duck is in the bathroom, the second duck is in the kitchen. So where's the third duck? Well, after a quick look in the mirror, you'll have your answer. Now, I'm not sure if this is a reference to anything or if the ducks just needed a little team bonding time, but I think it's cool either way. Right, let's end today's video with the Eggcellent Schedule 1. Now, in my Schedule 1 video that I uploaded last week, I shared the fictional energy drink Red Bulls, which is not to be confused with the inferior Red Bull. Now, that's where I thought the reference ended, but it seems that I was wrong. Red Bulls is actually cocaine in a can, or at least that's what Tyrone Biggums told me anyway.
But now cocaine comes in a delicious shape. Red Balls. It gives me wings!
The next Schedule 1 Easter egg is really funny. Mixing different strains of weed is a great way to make money, even if it can be time consuming. You simply take a strain of weed, add an everyday item like this, mix it up and sell it for profit. Everyone's a winner, especially the horse. These strains usually come with special effects that can turn characters bald and in some cases even change their skin colour. If you take Viagra and mix it with any strain of weed, you'll get the Tropic Thunder effect. Well, if you're curious as to what this effect may be, allow me to demonstrate. So smoking weed with the Tropic Thunder effect will turn your character black. Now, whilst on the surface of things this effect is very strange, there is actually logic behind it. In the excellent 2008 movie Tropic Thunder, Robert Downey Jr. played an actor who was extremely method. He was so method in fact that when he was asked to play a black character in a movie, he underwent surgery to change the colour of his skin. Which is why Tropic Thunder does the same thing in Schedule 1. Another strange recipe is mixing any weed with cola, then gasoline, then a battery, then a banana, then another banana, then more gasoline, and finally a donut. I mean, that's a pretty complex recipe, so let's see what it does. So it turns your customers into zombies who like to vomit. I mean, that can't be good for business, can it? Now, if I'm being honest, this next game and its Easter eggs probably don't count as Easter eggs. I know that makes zero sense, so allow me to explain. The Happy Hills Homicide is a love letter to all things horror, particularly horror movies. You play as a serial killer who definitely isn't a nod to Michael Myers, who kills in some pretty brutal ways. Here's the thing. You also play as the detective tasked with tracking the killer down, which means you get to see events unfold from both perspectives. Now, given that this game is so upfront about its love of the genre, of course there are going to be references to horror movies, and to be honest, finding them did feel like shooting fish in a barrel. But I enjoyed this game so much that I thought I'd share them anyway. First up, we have Bates Motel, which is a reference to the same motel seen in the classic Alfred Hitchcock movie, Psycho. I'm pretty sure there was also a spin-off TV show which was actually called Bates Motel. Next up, we have Elm Street, which is of course a nod to the Nightmare on Elm Street movies starring the dream-haunting, sweater-wearing Freddy Krueger. At an amusement park, you're greeted by Ghostface from the Scream movies, and after heading inside, you can find the masks of Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, Ghostface, and Michael Myers from Halloween hanging on the wall. Heading back to Bates Motel, inside one of the rooms is a TV that references The Ring and its creepy TV. Finally, and perhaps most debatably, this scarecrow is a reference to Jeepers Creepers. Or at least I think it is. This is the reference that I'm most unsure about. I mean, for a free game, the Happy Hills Homicide is really fun, so if you love horror movies and brutal kills, it might be worth a playthrough. Now, despite being one of the most beloved RPGs of all time, I haven't actually covered any Easter eggs from Oblivion on this channel. I know, I'm just as surprised as you are. Well, now that the remaster is here, there is no better time than right now to see what I've been missing. First up, after entering the first Oblivion gate in Kvatch, you can find this. So this charred corpse is a reference to Star Wars Episode 3, The Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin Skywalker suffered the same fate. Easter egg hunting experts may also recall that a similar Easter egg could also be found in Starfield, which was also developed by Bethesda. This means that either someone at Bethesda is a really big fan of the Star Wars prequels, or well, I don't know. The other Oblivion Easter egg that I found, well so far at least, requires the use of our good old friend console commands. If you bring up the console on PC and enter COC Todd Test, you'll be teleported to a location with several NPCs just standing around, including this big guy who looks like he shouldn't be messed with. Nearby you can find Todd's house, and if you go inside you can speak to this guard.
I knew one day someone with unyielding virtue would heed my words and speed my release. You risked much to perform such a selfless act.
I mean, apart from the strangely chill NPCs, nothing about this test area seems that strange. Well, if you start speaking to the guard, his voice may sound familiar.
What? That really pisses me off. Oh no, what do we do? I'm so scared. Fabulous. That's great. Good for you. When? I didn't know that. How can this be?
So the voice that can be heard when selecting each of the emotions is actually Todd Howard. You know, the executive producer of Oblivion and the director of Skyrim and Starfield. That Todd Howard. Despite his illustrious career full of great games, I know Todd as the man with a brown leather jacket, and as the man who said it just works.
All of this just works.
But if you've ever played a Bethesda game at launch, you'll know that things rarely just work. Now, despite being the home of loads of Easter eggs, there was always something missing from Cyberpunk 2077. And no, it's not the main character from Hades 2. For ages I couldn't put my finger on it. Then it dawned on me. Cyberpunk 2077 never had a proper Back to the Future Easter egg. I know, one of the most referenced movies in all of games missing from a game that references pretty much everything pop culture. Surely that can't be true. Well, thanks to one of the game's many updates, this glaring oversight has now been fixed. If you go to the docks at night time, you can find this. So two people are playing a game of chicken, with the winner speeding off into the night. But what about the loser? Well, if we explore the sunken vehicle, we can find an archived conversation between Jen and Needles. Here, they speak of someone called Marty, who apparently died playing chicken. Now, if you've ever watched any of the Back to the Future movies, you'll know that Marty McFly hated being called a chicken.
What's wrong, McFly? Chicken?
And in Back to the Future Part 3, Needles tried to goad Marty into a race by calling him a chicken.
What's the matter? Chicken?
The Jen in the conversation log is a reference to Marty's girlfriend, Jennifer Parker. So it's assumed that these events take place in a timeline where Marty died and Jennifer ended up with Needles, which along with Biff killing Marty's dad and banging Marty's mum in Back to the Future Part 2, has to be one of the darkest timelines. Speaking of Back to the Future, up next is Stalker 2. Now, it's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to find weird things in the world of Stalker 2, but have you ever seen something like this? So at this location on the map, you can find a stretch of train track on fire. This is a reference to this scene from Back to the Future Part 3. I mean, if we're going to start getting Back to the Future references in games that aren't just a DeLorean, then I'm all for it. Anyway, next up at this location on the map, you can find this. Now, I'm not going to say anything, but I want you to tell me who or what you think this doll looks like. So what do you think? Well, to me at least, this doll looks like Chucky. No, not that one, this one from the movies about the killer doll. I mean, I could be wrong and it could just be a regular doll, so let me know what you think in the comments. The final Easter egg from Stalker 2 is actually really cool. At this location on the map, you can find this. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, damn, I should really check out Captain Eggcellent's Patreon using the top link in the description to get free games, my name at the end of every video, and access to a super duper exclusive Discord server. And I agree, but you're also probably thinking, so what? It's just a campfire. Well, convenient question asking viewer, this is actually a reference to the main menu of Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl. Well, it's more of a recreation than it is a reference. I don't know why, but I think this is really cool. Right, let's end today's video with the excellent Gears of War 3. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22, and I'm also really wanting a new Gears of War game. So to try and satisfy my hunger for all things Gears, I loaded up Gears of War 3 and found this next Easter egg. During the Homecoming mission, you can find a shop display featuring Augustus Cole, which is who you're playing as. Before things went bad, Cole was a star athlete, so him endorsing cereal makes sense. If you interact with the display, you'll hear this.
The Coal Train runs on whole grain, baby! Wow!
So it's confirmed that Coal Train runs on whole grain, baby. Well, if you repeatedly interact with the display, eventually this will happen.
The Coal Train runs on whole grain, baby! Wow! The Coal Train runs on whole grain, baby! Wow! Delta Squad is in your house, bitch! You hear that shit? Your grubby ass bitches are going down! Like way down! Dead down! So down you ain't gonna know which way is up! Your ass is gonna be crying till your skink ass quit! Oh, mommy, don't let the bad man hurt us! Fuck you! We gonna whoop your mama's ass! Wow!
So that speech is the same speech that Cole gave in Gears of War 2. I mean, even out of context, it's still pretty awesome. Now, unlike the previous modern Doom games, Doom the Dark Ages is kind of lacking in the Easter egg department. I mean, I was certain I would find a Dopefish reference, as who could forget his handsome face from Doom Eternal? Well, I may not have found Dopefish, but I have found another Easter egg that returns from the previous Doom games. During Chapter 10, if you die in the lava, this will happen. So as Doom Guy succumbs to the lava, he will give a quick thumbs up. just like he did in Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. Of course, the whole thumbs up in a fiery pit of death thing is a reference to this scene from Terminator 2. It's worth mentioning that this is the only place in the entire game that you can die in lava, so if you want to try this one for yourself, it has to be done in Chapter 10. Now, much like the previous Doom games, collectible toys can be found in Doom the Dark Ages. When you find one of these toys, Doom Guy will pick it up and put it away. I mean, he's got demons to slay. He can't waste any time playing with toys. Here's the thing, there is one exception to that rule. During Chapter 6, you can find this. So Doom Guy finds a toy version of himself and can't resist giving the shield a little spin, which will cause the music from the original Doom's first level to play. Again, this is something that Doom Guy does with every toy version of himself in the previous modern Doom games, but it's nice to see it return. Now, this next Easter egg is quite easily missed. During the game's first chapter, you can find posters of some of the game's development team. Or at least I think they are. I know that this is Hugo Martin, the game's director who has appeared as an Easter egg in Doom Eternal, but I'm not sure who this guy sporting a fetching monocle is, so if you know then let me know in the comments. So the final Doom the Dark Ages Easter egg is kind of weird. During Chapter 4 you can use one of the weird green skeleton things to reach a ledge before dropping down and smacking a crate out of the way. So far, so Doom the Dark Ages. Well, if instead of moving forward you turn around, you can find this. So it's a skeleton wearing a blue cape. Now, unfortunately, Doom the Dark Ages doesn't have a photo mode, so I can't get a closer look. But even if I could, I'm still not sure I'd know who this is. I mean, if I had to guess, I would say it was Skeletor from Masters of the Universe, given the blue cape and all, but that's just a guess, and probably a bit of a reach. I really don't know what this is a reference to, or if it's a reference at all, so as always, leave your suggestions in the comments. Now, before I show you this next game, I need to remind you all of something. If a game has Easter eggs, I will almost always play it. Okay, with that out of the way, allow me to introduce you to Vanilla Beast Mystery Kink. Mystery Kink is a point-and-click adventure game featuring the chiseled jaw of Vanilla and his band of merry maidens. You see, you can choose which lady accompanies Vanilla on his journey, and as far as I can tell, they don't offer any in-game benefits. Well, apart from the obvious. Now, the game begins in a diner, and it's here that we can find the first of two familiar faces. Well, for the first one, you don't actually see their face, but you get what I mean. Sitting at the counter is this person, who must be feeling a slight breeze on his backside. Well, this man with pins in his head and his arse on show is Pinhead from the Hellraiser series. Sitting next to him is his famous puzzle box, but unfortunately you can't interact with it. The other Easter egg that I found so far can be seen outside the diner. This relaxed-looking gentleman is the dude from the 1998 movie The Big Lebowski. Unfortunately, the dude isn't voiced because hiring sound-alikes is apparently pretty expensive. I mean, don't take my word for it, it's literally what the game told me.
Now, you're probably wondering why he doesn't have a voice actor, huh, player? Well, those cost lots of money, especially ones that are trying to impersonate specific people. Bottom line is we had to pick and choose cause, well, we're low budget. Some of the NPCs will be audio challenged.
I'm sure there's loads more to find in this game, and that's going to be the only reason I continue to play it. Honest. Now, I may be wrong here, but I think that some people watch these videos so that they can try to find the Easter eggs themselves. I'm guessing that more than one of you has loaded up Hades 2, and then after that loaded up a game to look for Easter eggs. The thing is, games are expensive, so sometimes you might not be able to play the games that I do. And that's why I thought that I would share some Easter eggs from Discord, so that everyone can have a go at finding them. I swear that's the real reason, and this isn't just an elaborate attempt to promote my Patreon-only Discord server that gives you a chance to claim free games, chat with me and the rest of the Discord crew, and loads of other benefits. The link is in the description. Anyway, the first Discord Easter egg is for the times when Discord gets a little bit too much. If you press Ctrl-Alt-Shift-W, this will happen. So in an attempt to relieve your worries, some chill lo-fi music will begin to play, whilst this pig thing hypnotically waves its arms at you. which is nice. If things become a little too chill, you can start a party all on your own. If you press Ctrl and /, the shortcuts menu will open, and if you use the arrow keys, you can create a musical masterpiece. Also, if you click on the Discord logo 16 times, this will happen. Discord. Oh, and it's worth mentioning that whenever I open Discord now, the Discord voice line can be heard. And you know what? I'm not mad at it. The final Discord Easter egg can be seen when you try copying your username. Each time you copy it, the wording used will change until you reach godlike. I mean, personally, I'd have liked it if it included a Halo-style announcer as well, but I suppose you can't have everything. Now, the world of Clair Obscur is full of things to see and do. But one thing that I never expected to find is a man sitting calmly as fire rages around him. So despite a fire burning just inches away, this guy seems pretty chill. When you question them, they simply say, "This is fine," which is of course a reference to the "This is fine" meme that I'm sure you've all seen before. The other Expedition 33 Easter egg I've found so far is hiding in the manor. If you head upstairs, you can find this.
Nice.
So after jumping through a painting like a French Super Mario, you can find a room dedicated to a dog. The room includes several adorable pictures and even a little doggy home. At the time of recording, I don't know who this dog is, but I'm happy he has his own little room. So after covering the Happy Hills Homicide 1, I couldn't resist stumping up to £2 for its sequel. And I don't regret it. For what is a pretty straightforward game, I actually found myself getting sucked into the plot, so much so that I can't wait for the inevitable Happy Hills Homicide 3. Now, much like the first game, the sequel references horror movies, but not as many. During Chapter 8, you can find Billy the Puppet from the Saw movies sitting on a shelf. It's worth reminding ourselves that John Kramer, aka Jigsaw, created this creepy doll for a child. And not just any child, his own unborn child. The other Easter egg can be seen during Act 4. So this boat floating away with the rainwater is a reference to It and its opening scene. I mean, as far as It movie references go, this one's actually pretty cool. Now, on the very snowy surface of things, Snow Riders is a game about getting from A to B as quickly, and probably most importantly, safely as possible. Now, despite this, there is room for heading off the beaten track to find other paths to your goal, which is where we can find our first Easter egg. On the first trail of the second mountain, you can find this. So it's a go-kart, a red cap, and a banana, which I'm not sure is native to a snowy mountain. This is of course a reference to Mario Kart. The only thing missing is the $80 price tag. Now, I'm certain that this game has more to hide. But if I'm honest, I can barely make it to the end of a course in one piece. So if you played this game before and think that you found something interesting, then please let me know. So despite Doom the Dark Ages being a great game, there was one thing missing. And that thing was this little guy. You see, in all of the other modern Doom games, you could find Dopefish. And his appearance in Doom Eternal was particularly memorable because look at him. Well, it turns out that the unfortunate looking fish is in the Dark Ages. You just have to look really, really hard. On the Harbour of Souls level, you can find this. Okay, so it's not quite as in your face as the Doom Eternal Dopefish, but if you look closely and squint a little, you can make out Dopefish's face in these markings. I don't know about you, but give me ugly Dopefish any day of the week. Now, this next Doom Easter egg might be a little bit debatable, but when I first saw it, I only thought of one thing. During the Temple of Lomarith level, you can find this. So it's a rotting corpse in a Doom game. And you'd also be surprised to learn that water is wet. Well, the thing is, this particular rotting corpse is special, as it seems to be growing a fungus on its head. Now, whenever I see something growing a fungus on its head, I think of my great uncle Albert. And then I think of The Last of Us and its clickers. I mean, I could be wrong and it might just be a normal corpse. What I will say is, there was a Last of Us Easter egg found in Uncharted 4 that looked an awful lot like this guy. Like I said, I don't know, so let me know what you think. Now, a couple of videos back, we found a secret room that was dedicated to a dog in Clair Obscur Expedition 33. At the time, I didn't know who the dog was, but I think I know now. In the manor, you can drop down a hole in the kitchen and enter the basement. And after smashing a couple of boxes, you can find this. So it's a picture of what I assume to be the dev team, which is cool. But the star of the show is this little guy who is front and centre, just like he should be. Well, this dog is the same dog that we found pictures of in the secret dog room. Dog. So I did some intense research, aka I just googled it, and found out that the dog's name is Monaco. And according to the Sandfall Interactive website, Monaco is the team's happiness manager. And my bet is, he's doing a damn good job. Now, the original Splitgate was a very good first-person shooter that seemed to fall off pretty quickly. So for a sequel, all the devs needed to do was build on what made the first game great and improve on the areas it was lacking, all the while keeping clear of any controversy.
And I'm tired of playing the same Call of Duty every year. And I wish we could have Titanfall 3. Splitgate Battle Royale launches free right now.
Well, I suppose 2 out of 3 isn't bad. I mean, almost everyone agreed with what Ian Prue, the co-founder of 1047 Games, said. People are sick of the same Call of Duty every year, and we would all love Titanfall 3. The trouble is, to say that you want to make FPS games great again, and then announce a Battle Royale mode and $80 cosmetic bundles, comes off as kinda hypocritical. Anyway, much like the original Splitgate, Splitgate 2 does have its fair share of Easter eggs, but this first one might have you feeling a certain kind of way. On the Onslaught Glacier map, you can find this. So, way off in the distance is this super thick snowman. I mean, there's absolutely no way you could find this in an actual game, so it's pretty well hidden. Personally, I think that this caked up snowman could be a reference to Hades 2. But I'm guessing I'm the only one that thinks that. Now, I know what this next Splitgate 2 Easter egg reminds me of, but I want you to go in blind so you can draw your own conclusions. On the Frontier map, you can find this. So, despite being out of bounds, you can find a chicken underneath the platform. If we use the spectator mode, we can get a good look at our chicken friend, and it seems to be wearing a saddle, which can only mean one thing.
Chicken jockey!
Now, whether this was an intentional reference to a chicken jockey, or just a happy coincidence, I don't know. But this might be the Easter egg that opens the chicken jockey Easter egg floodgates. So prepare yourselves. Now, all the way back in episode 133 of this series, which was well over a year ago now, we found a group of turtles in the sewers of Wobbly Life. And to be honest, I thought that was all the game had to offer. Well, fast forward to now, and I've found something 10 times cooler and 10 times better hidden. As you make your way through Paradise Tunnel, you can find loads of different posters. But it's this particular poster that we're interested in. So you can walk through the poster and find a secret room with a giant Easter egg. That's not all though. At the back of the room you can find a board game in progress with a couple of funny details. For example, you have the harmless looking granny hiding a second dice behind her back and the ghost ruining the game because it can't pick up the dice to take its turn. Which is pretty funny. Now, do you remember when I said that I was sure there'd be loads more Easter eggs to find in Vanilla Beast Mystery King? And that would be the only reason I continue to play it. I'm sure there's loads more to find in this game, and that's going to be the only reason I continue to play it. See? I did say that. Well, I have found 2 more famous person cameos, with one being instantly recognisable, and the other, well, the other isn't quite as recognisable. First up, next to the strip club, you can find this guy. So in a blink and you'll miss it moment, Freddy Krueger can be seen standing on the street corner near a strip club. Given Freddy's previous offences, I'm just happy he's not near a playground. The other cameo can be found in Bo Dangles. This man with the world's most unfortunate hairline is Cook from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The devs have said that these cameos will actually play a part in the game, with each character having their own side quest, so I'm interested to see who else is included when the game is released. Right, let's end today's video with Dead by Daylight and its Five Nights at Freddy's expansion. Now, when you select Springtrap as your chosen killer, he will enter the screen in a particularly scary way. Hopefully, I'm not the only one that finds that really creepy. Well, if you stump up the cash for the movie Springtrap skin, something which I begrudgingly had to do, he will do this. Now, whilst not as creepy as the default skin's animation, this slow creep to the camera is a reference to this scene from the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. The other FNAF movie reference can be seen when idling in the lobby. So Springtrap will run his hand along his knife before presumably cutting himself, hence the scream. I mean, that's not very intimidating, but let's go with it. Anyway, the whole knife rubbing thing is a reference to this scene from the movie. Right, let's begin today's video with an unfinished game. And no, I don't mean the latest game pooped out by Ubisoft. I mean a game actually called an unfinished game. The whole point of this game is to finish the game. That means destroying bugs and quote-unquote playtesting levels. It's a very funny game, and has more than a passing resemblance to the Stanley Parable in the way that it openly acknowledges how silly the whole premise is. For proof of this, near the beginning of the game you can find two signs, one directing you to the lobby and the other directing you to nothing. Well, I'm nothing if not curious, so let's see what nothing actually looks like. So it turns out that nothing is 2 blocks from Minecraft. But that's not all. If you turn around, you can also find the companion cube from Portal, which, given that we're in a test facility, does make sense, and probably explains why later in the game you can also find more companion cubes and a person having premature Portal problems. Oh, and after heading to the lobby, you can find another sign directing you to nothing. Let's see which video game gets referenced this time. Oh, okay, it's just nothing this time. My bad. So if video games have taught me one thing, it's that if you see a wild chicken, don't kill it. Now that may sound like pretty straightforward advice, but sometimes the temptation to kill chickens can become too much. But what's the worst that could really happen? Well, probably this. So after killing a couple of chickens, a giant chicken wielding a double-barreled shotgun will spawn and try to turn the tables on you. I mean, as you can see, this courageous chicken did fail, but I have to give the feathery fella credit for trying. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the first game to punish players for killing chickens was the original Legend of Zelda, and it's appeared in other Zelda games since then, but if I'm wrong, then let me know. Now, when it comes to famous video game creators, you could argue that none are more famous than Jeff Keighley's best friend, Hideo Kojima. The man is responsible for some of gaming's most loved titles, but he's also someone who isn't scared to put himself in the spotlight, as seen here in Cyberpunk 2077. Well, you probably won't be surprised to learn that Mr. Kojima also appears in Death Stranding 2. And more than once. At the very beginning of the game, when Sam approaches his hideout, this will happen. So one of the gooey beings that tries to grab at Sam is Hideo Kojima. Now granted, this might not be him. I mean, it's kind of hard to make out someone's facial features when they are covered in tar. And even though this particular person is wearing glasses, we can't confidently say that this is the man himself. Well, one of the ways that Sam can relax is by using a hot spring. And when you do this at night, you also have the option to do a bit of stargazing. Here you can see constellations resembling Lu, the Kojima Production Studio logo, and other random things.
What the hell is even that?
Well, one of the other constellations you can see is this. So among the stars is the face of Kojima, and this time there really is no mistaking him. I mean, could this be seen as a little egotistical? Probably. Is it a cool Easter egg? Definitely. Now, a recent trend on Steam has been the release of loop games. These games see you passing through the same environment over and over again, with the sole aim of trying to spot things that are out of the ordinary. I mean, the first loop game that I played was Exit 8, and in my opinion that's still the best example of a loop game. But Backroom Loop is decent, and it also has loads of Easter eggs. Now, recording these Easter eggs was tricky, as their appearances were random, which meant I just had to play the game endlessly until one popped up, and the first one that did was this. So this sunflower is a reference to Flowey from Undertale, but before you have to face him in battle, a goat will appear to save the day, which was nice of him. Next up, when approaching the end of the corridor, you can find this. So despite claiming to be 100% safe, jumping off the edge sees our character miss the hay bale and fail in their attempt to recreate the leap of faith from Assassin's Creed. I mean, admittedly, it's not the game's fault that we didn't stick the landing. Oh, and in one of the loops, I found this person sitting in a chair with a sword next to them. Now, this might not be a reference to anything, but I thought I'd ask here to see if it was. As always, let me know what you think. Right, let's end today's video with the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake. Now, despite the missing songs and the removal of the free roam Tony Hawk 4 career mode, this game is awesome. If I'm honest, it just feels good to play another Tony Hawk game. Well, another Tony Hawk game that isn't Tony Hawk 5 anyway. I get it, it's a massive shame that the game's iconic soundtrack was gutted, presumably due to pricey licenses. And the fact that we don't get the actual Tony Hawk's 4 campaign is even more annoying. But don't let that put you off of what is some quality Tony Hawk action. Now, one of my favourite levels from Tony Hawk 3 was the airport. This level acted almost like a runway as you made your way from check-in all the way to departures. When you reach departures, you can hear the very familiar sound of the airport tannoy broadcasting important announcements, such as this.
Flight 222 to Tucson is receiving a tow and a tune-up and is now 2 minutes behind schedule. That's 222 to Tucson for a tow and a tune-up. 2 minutes behind schedule.
So, Flight 22 to Tucson is receiving a tow and a tune-up and is now 2 minutes behind schedule. Got it. Well, another announcement may sound more familiar.
The driver of a white sedan, you left your lights on.
So apparently the driver of a white sedan left their lights on, which is a one-way ticket to a drained battery. Now, this line of dialogue isn't meant to raise awareness on the perils of leaving a car's lights on. It is instead a reference to SpongeBob SquarePants.
Whoever's the owner of the white sedan, you left your lights on.
Of course, that's not the only SpongeBob reference in the game. On the Skater Island level, if you grind on the edge of the pirate ship and jump pretty far, which admittedly may take a couple of tries, this will happen. So none of that was edited by me. That's exactly how the Easter egg goes, which is brilliant. I mean, I probably don't have to say this, but this is Bikini Bottom from SpongeBob. And in the distance, you can see the homes of Patrick, Squidward, and SpongeBob. To be honest, there isn't much to do here, and launching yourself off the ramp just takes you back to the level. But it's still really cool. Now, music discs have been a thing in Minecraft for a long time now. You simply take a music disc, insert it into a jukebox, and relax. Well, in a recent update, a new song was added to the game. And I don't know about you, but this song definitely doesn't make me want to relax. So this is the Lava Chicken song from the Minecraft movie, which I've either just shown you a snippet of, or more than likely haven't because of copyright issues. Anyway, the song starts off good enough, but if you keep listening, it gets even better. So a Minecraft villager dropping some of the coldest bars of 2025 isn't something that you get to experience every day. So enjoy it whilst you can. Next up are more Easter eggs from Backroom Loop. Now, before I get to the new Easter eggs I found, I just wanted to revisit something from the last Easter eggs video. I said that I was unsure if this person sitting on a chair was a reference to anything. Well, it turns out that this is a reference to the Virgil's chair meme from Devil May Cry 5, which took the original thing that Virgil was sitting on and replaced it with a regular looking plastic chair.
Your portal opening days are over. Give me the Amato.
If you want it, then you'll have to take it.
If you are one of the many people who understood this reference, give yourself a pat on the back. Anyway, moving on to new Easter eggs now, and first up is one that my son knew, but I didn't. So this dancing rat is a reference to the Dancing Rat TikTok that was uploaded in January 2025. I mean, I don't know if I'm showing my age here, but this is a meme that I didn't even know was a thing until now. Next up is this anomaly.
Green light. Red light. Red light. Green light. Red light.
Okay, so I definitely recognise this one, as it's a nod to the red light green light game from Squid Games. The final Backroom Loop Easter egg is one that everyone watching this video should know. If you open the two doors that I do, there is a chance that some strange text will appear, and if you interact with it, this will happen. So this is a reference to Skyrim's much referenced intro. You may think that the fire-breathing dragon is the scariest thing in this Easter egg, but to me, it's the hazard suit wearing human acting like a horse that really creeps me out. Now, we're at a point that if you haven't made a cameo appearance in Astrobot, are you even a video game character? Of course, you won't find characters like Master Chief and Mario in the game. Well, at least not yet. But the chances are that your favourite game is represented in Astrobot in some way or another. For a long time, the main absences were any Final Fantasy characters, but thanks to the Vicious Void update that dropped last week, that's now been fixed. Along with Cloud from Final Fantasy VII, you can also find Ezio from Assassin's Creed, Heihachi from Tekken, 2B from Nier Automata, and more. Oh, and before you sickos ask, yes, I did try looking up 2B's skirt, and no, it's not possible. Anyway, like all of the other cameo bots in the game, each of the new additions comes with a special prop and animation. So here is Heihachi playing with his dog. Here is Ezio still sticking the landing somehow. Here is 2B doing a spot of fishing. And by far the best new animation is Cloud getting his revenge. To be honest, I think that Cloud animation might be the best one in the entire game. Up next are more Easter eggs from an unfinished game. And no, I won't make the same joke about Ubisoft again, no matter how tempting it is. Now, when you're exploring the art section, you can find art from various other games, including the Outer Wilds and Pac-Man. You may be wondering who is responsible for all of this cool art. Well, I think it might be this guy. So this is Bot Ross, who is of course a reference to the super popular artist Bob Ross, and just like Bob, Bot even has his own happy accidents. The other Easter egg from an unfinished game can be found on the obligatory water level. Here you can find pirates who aren't interested in pirating your game as it's unfinished, and if you take a swim, you can also find this. So inside of a green pipe, you can find a green bot and a red bot, along with question mark stamped blocks. Now, I know that I don't have to tell you what this is a reference to, but trust me, if I didn't, I can guarantee that one person would say they didn't get it. So for that one person, this is a reference to the Super Mario Brothers. Now, I've made videos before about Easter eggs that roast the competition, but I think this next Easter egg is the first time that I found something that roasts themselves. Well, sort of. On the water park level in Tony Hawk 4, you can find this. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, damn, I should really check out Captain Eggcellent's Patreon for early access to videos and loads of free games. And I won't argue with that. But you're also probably thinking, it's just a trash can. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is what's sticking out of the trash can. If you knock it over, you can find the box for something called Banjo Champion, which is a not so subtle reference to the Guitar Hero games. On the back of the box, you can find a message which reads, "This text is for the consumer. It cannot prepare you for the amazing game inside. This text is mostly gibberish, but needs to be here anyway. This makes the package feel more complex, makes it feel totally real." Now at this point, you might be wondering where the insult is. Well, the company that made the Guitar Hero games, that being Neversoft, also made the original Tony Hawk games, so putting one of their now dead game series in the trash could be seen as disrespectful. Also, Neversoft was shut down in 2014, so they can't even defend themselves. Personally, I think it's a funny joke about the state of the Guitar Hero franchise, but the Tony Hawk devs have said that they will be removing it in the next update, which does seem kind of silly. Right, let's end today's video with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Now, I've said before that I planned on making a Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 Easter eggs and details video, but I didn't want to rush my way through it. That also means I'm not going to rush my experience with it just to get a video out. See, I did unfortunately say that. It's been 4 months since that video and I still haven't done it, so that's my bad. Well, to try and make up for it, here are 2 more Easter eggs from the Eggcellent RPG. First up, at this location on the map, you can find this. So this strange straw hat, their words not mine, is a reference to Luffy's hat from One Piece. The other Kingdom Come Easter egg might just be an all-time great. Early on in the game, you can sneak up on a group of women doing some laundry. Well, if you install a FreeCam mod that can be used in cutscenes, something which I think is only available on Otis Imp's Patreon, which I did sign up for, you can see how games are made. So we can see that behind the quote-unquote camera are 2 people operating a camera and even a person responsible for capturing the audio. I mean, this Easter egg is so well hidden that I'm surprised it was ever found. Now, if you watched my Tony Hawk Easter egg video, you'll have known that this Banjo Champion box found in the bin on the water park level caused quite a stir. So much so that the developers said that they would be removing it in a future update, and I can confirm that it is now gone from the game. Well, what makes this even stranger than it already is the fact that Banjo Champion can also be found in the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake. In fact, on the hangar level, you can find multiple boxes of Banjo Champion left carelessly on the floor. So the only reason the box was removed from 3 and 4 was because it was placed in the bin, which just seems really silly to me. Oh, and that wasn't the only Easter egg that's been removed from the game. On the shipyard level, you used to be able to find a blow-up doll in one of the containers, but now it's gone. I mean, I probably speak for all of us when I say removing Easter eggs like this from a Tony Hawk game is really, really stupid. Anyway, on a more positive note, there is an Easter egg on Shipyard that I didn't know about, that hasn't been removed, and is really well hidden. Grinding through the vents is a pro goal, and one that can be really annoying to do. Well, if you enter photo mode when in the vents, you can spot a couple of alien plushies playing basketball. Fingers crossed that nobody gets offended by this one. Up next is the Eggcellent Crime Scene Cleaner. Recently, Crime Scene Cleaner got a whole load of new nightmare-themed levels added to the game. And get this, you don't have to pay for them.
Nice.
Each level is a nightmare-themed version of an existing level, but a lot of work has gone into them to make them feel different when compared to the originals. For example, the pizza restaurant is now home to bloodthirsty animatronic ducks, who will continue to bother you as you clean up their mess. If you want to know what went down here before the ducks went all bite of 87,
Was that the bite of 87?
Then you need to find a dream catcher and interact with it. So let's see what this one shows us.
What are you?
A stupid human sandwich.
What the hell are you?
The stupid pizza sandwich chef.
Okay, so it didn't really explain the murderous animatronics, but it did give us a reference to the famous Gordon Ramsay idiot sandwich clip.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Idiot sandwich what?
An idiot sandwich, Chef Ramsay.
Oh, and not many people know this, but that clip was actually a comedy sketch and not part of one of Gordon Ramsay's shows. Though, would you be surprised if it was? Next up, on the Loud Valley Resort, you can find a hidden tunnel that seems to have been explored before. Now, you might be wondering how I know this. Well, this hat and whip belong to Indiana Jones, who isn't exactly known for not snooping around. Okay, the hat's not a one-to-one copy, but it's close enough. Heading further into the tunnel, and we can find a skeleton with an arrow in its knee. Now granted, it does have multiple arrow-related injuries, but the arrow to the knee is a reference to Skyrim.
I used to be an adventurer like you, and I took an arrow in the knee.
Now, if you've been watching this series for a while, you might remember the duck exhibit in the Modern Art Museum level that referenced a bunch of different movies. Well, that exhibit has also had a makeover in this update. First up, we have a reference to Lord of the Rings. Next, we have a nod to Mufasa's death in The Lion King. Next up is this duck on a bench, which is a reference to Forrest Gump. This duck and mouse combo stuck in a cell is probably a reference to The Green Mile, and this creepy setup is probably a nod to Psycho. I mean, those are my best guesses anyway. Feel free to leave your suggestions in the comments. Now, I know that it's easy to hate on Nintendo these days. I mean, they seem to do everything in their power to make people not like them. Here's the thing, despite some pretty scummy anti-consumer moves over the past couple of years, Nintendo do know how to make a good game. As things stand, Donkey Kong Bonanza is my personal game of the year, just edging out Death Stranding 2. And the main reason I love it so much is that it's just a really gamey game. Everything is designed in a way that gives the player the most fun, and in 2025, that's pretty rare. Now, speaking of rare, don't worry, that segue will make sense. One of the challenge levels on the hilltop level layer is Nostalgia Country. And true to its name, you take on a Donkey Kong Country inspired level with a modern take on the level's iconic soundtrack. Well, at the beginning of the level, if you turn around, you can find something else that might get those nostalgia sensors tingling. So this room is a reference to the same room seen in the original Donkey Kong Country, where before heading off on DK's journey, you could turn around and grab a free balloon. Of course, in Bonanza, that balloon is a banana, but you get the idea. A more subtle reference is this TV, as it's the same TV seen in the King K. Rool Smash Bros. Reveal from 2019, which is a nice touch. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm on the spectrum, and for the record I am, but I love games about digging for resources and then using those resources to upgrade your tools. Rinse and repeat. My love for the genre started with a game about digging a hole. And no, I'm not being vague, that's literally what it's called. My latest digging obsession is One Man's Trash, which follows the formula of a game about digging a hole closely. Perhaps even suspiciously so. Anyway, it's more digging and upgrading, and that's what I like. Now, when you're digging, you can find special items that are usually highlighted in purple. These are rare items, and you can display them above ground, though a lot of them will be familiar. So first up, we have the slightly used Holy Grail, which is a reference to Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. Next, we have a bug in a rock, which is a reference to Jurassic Park and its ambified mosquito. This ET cartridge is a nod to the time that a game bombed so badly that copies had to be buried in a desert. This is a reference to the time that Shakespeare penned his own version of the Fast and Furious. These blue and red pills are an obvious reference to The Matrix, and this glowing mystery briefcase is a reference to the briefcase seen in Pulp Fiction. The other items are either too vague, like this wand, which might be a Harry Potter reference or it might not be, or are things like a standard crown. Right, let's end today's video with Team Fortress 2. Now last month, the summer update released for Team Fortress 2 and brought with it 10 community-made maps. And luckily for us, these maps have some pretty cool Easter eggs. First up is this novelty license plate that can be found on the Boardwalk map. Now I know what you're thinking, there can't be that many people out there called Bort that the name would warrant a novelty number plate. Well, you'd be surprised.
Bort? Oh, come on, Bort?
Mommy, buy me a license plate!
No, come along, Bort.
Are you talking to me?
No, my son is also named Bort.
On the same map above the Tunnel of Love, you can find this. So it's two lovebirds just hanging out. I mean, I suppose this is the perfect place. Now, this next Easter egg requires the use of our good old friend Mr. NoClip. Beneath the capture point on the blowout map, you can find this. Now again, I know what you're thinking. What could be more cute than a penguin riding a reindeer? Well, I'll tell you what isn't cute, and that's the grenade strapped to the penguin's back. Oh, and because I know that some of you will ask, no, you can't blow the grenade up. Finally, and perhaps the most out of place Easter egg, which is saying a lot, can be found on the cargo map. Here you can find a giant freezer, which you normally can't access. Well, once again, NoClip comes in handy. So along with an unexpected jump scare, this room is full of blood and bones, which isn't very Team Fortress 2. I mean, of course there is gore in the game, but it's more the light-hearted sort of gore, you know, limbs flying off and that sort of stuff. This, on the other hand, is actually kind of unsettling, as who knows what happened in this room. Now, despite being a game where you can climb with your buddies, Peak is also a game that lets you climb alone. And as someone who isn't a big fan of multiplayer-only games, that's awesome. There's something strangely calming about climbing a massive mountain on your own. Except on one of my climbs, I wasn't alone. When entering the alpine biome, I saw this. So behind a rock, a man popped his head up before hiding again. Now I'm not up to date on Peak lore, so perhaps this guy is explained in the game somewhere. But after a quick Google search, I don't think he is. I asked my son, who has played loads of Peak, and he said he's never seen the man before either. So yeah, a random man appeared during my solo climb, and to be honest, it's kind of creepy. If you can offer any sort of reason for the man's appearance, please let me know. Up next is Brutal John 2. Now Brutal John 2 does that thing where there was never actually a Brutal John 1. The series just decided to start at 2. So don't be confused if this is the first time you've heard of Brutal John or Brutal Dog. Oh, that's right, I almost forgot to mention. In Brutal John, you either play as John or as the wisecracking Brutal Dog, as you try to save a world that has been overtaken by crypto mining corporations. It's about as silly as you'd expect, but it's also a really, really fun game that is packed with Easter eggs. Well, I say packed, I've found 2 so far, but I'm sure there's going to be more. Now, the game's first level takes place on a train, where you're taught the do's and don'ts of combat, and as you make your way through the train, you can find this guy. So this is Gordon Freeman from the Half-Life series. Half-Life 1 famously began with a 5-minute scene where Gordon was riding a train into work, something which the child me with 0 attention span really didn't appreciate. Anyway, Gordon Freeman is famously really shy and never speaks in any of the Half-Life games. Well, he does here.
Hey, Doc.
Whoa, man, you were actually talking. We all thought you were always quiet.
Now, I've said before that Duke Nukem would often insult games that he referenced in his own games. You have Duke Nukem, who would usually insult the game he was referencing. See? I did say that. Well, Brutal John 2 gives Duke a taste of his own medicine. During level 6, you can find this. So Duke's body can be found in a dumpster, though he's still able to give us a thumbs up. If you've played a Duke Nukem game before, then you won't be surprised to learn that this dumpster is located at the back of a strip club, because of course it is.
The gears broke this guy.
Now, in the last episode of this series, we discovered this copyright baiting Shrek Easter egg in Bus Flipper Simulator. Well, this next Easter egg doesn't reference a movie. It instead references my mum's dentist, my aunt's tennis coach, and my sister's electrician. One of the customers in Bus Flipper Simulator is a man named Johnny, and if you recognise him, I know what you've been up to. You see, Johnny here is based off the real-world actor Johnny Sins. Now, I've got to be careful here, but let's just say that Johnny's acting can be very wooden, and some may even say stiff. But he always finishes the job. Moving swiftly on, this next Easter egg is much more family friendly. When renovating the London bus, you can find this. So this fancy looking hammer is Mjolnir, Thor's trusty weapon. Unfortunately, you can't use Mjolnir to bang anything useful, but apparently our friend Johnny is an expert in the banging department, so we should be fine. Now, a couple of videos back, we found some Easter eggs in Backroom Loop, which is basically a very fancy game of Spot the Difference. Well, today's Spot the Difference simulator is the appropriately named Twisted Gallery. In Twisted Gallery, you have to explore an endless looping art gallery that can get pretty twisted. I mean, the clue is in the name. Obviously, you need to keep an eye out for anomalies, which can range from the subtle to the well, not so subtle. Some of the anomalies actually reference real-world games and movies, with perhaps the most obvious one being this giant matrix room, which looks really cool, but doesn't let you find out how deep the rabbit hole goes. Though apparently, Johnny can help with that too.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Anyway, the next Easter egg is a bit more subtle. So this spinning top that doesn't stop spinning is a reference to Inception, where Leonardo DiCaprio's character uses a spinning top to determine if he's dreaming or not. Next up is my favourite Easter egg from the game. So this creepy girl is a reference to The Ring, which featured a very similar scene. The final Easter egg from Twisted Gallery is one that we've all seen far too many times. So walking through the random hole that appears in the gallery leads you to a Dark Souls bonfire and an armour-wearing duck. I mean, as far as Dark Souls references go, this one is pretty cool. Now, after covering some TF2 Easter eggs in the last episode of this series, I was told that I'd missed a couple, including one that many people claim to be the best, so I'll save that until the very end. I mean, saying that, the first Easter egg is actually pretty great too. On the manhole map, you can find this. So through the sewer grate, we can see a bunch of rats having a party. Using our good old friend Mr. NoClip, we can get a better look at what's going on, and it turns out that the rats are raving to a xylophone, which has to be a first. I mean, raving to a xylophone. I see dancing rats all the time. The final Easter egg for today's video can also be found on Manhole. Just outside of the red team spawn, you can find this. So you can see two eyes watching out the dumpster. Again, using NoClip, you can see that this peeper actually has one pink eye and one yellow eye, which is pretty unique. Well, these eyes belong to Spamton, a shopkeeper from the extremely popular Delta Room. Apparently, Delta Room has loads of Easter eggs, so I should probably get around to checking it out at some point. Now, Ready or Not is of course a realistic shooter that sees you dealing with some pretty messed up situations. The thing is, these situations, regardless of how messed up they may be, are all grounded in reality, which, come to think of it, probably makes them worse. Anyway, there is something that I found that definitely isn't grounded in reality. Or at least I think it isn't. During the Rust Belt mission, you have to deal with a gang of smugglers who have been using an underground tunnel to traffic drugs and people across the US-Mexico border. Well, as you head further underground, you can see this. So in the dark, you can see two eyes staring back at you. Of course, I know what you guys are like, so yes, I did try shooting it and nothing happened. I also tried messing with the brightness and contrast to see if we could get a better look at what these eyes belong to, but it's still kind of hard to see. I mean, given the serious nature of Ready or Not, I'd like to think that it wasn't supernatural, but the fact that I can unload a full clip into it and it doesn't even flinch makes me think that it might be. If you've ever had any run-ins with old creepy eyes over here, then let me know in the comments. Now, this next Easter egg is almost certainly supernatural. I mean, it's a game about hunting ghosts, so I guess that's to be expected. Now, you might recall that in a previous video, we found the body of Lisa in the morgue on the Sunny Meadows Mental Institution map. And to be honest, I thought that was the only body that we could find in Phasmophobia. But I was wrong. Underneath the cabin on the Maple Lodge map, you can find this. So it's another corpse, but I'm not sure the identity of this unlucky chap or chapette. Given that I've had to crank the brightness of this footage up just so you can see it, probably means that a lot of people never knew this was here. I mean, I of course did some googling, and it seems that the body was added during a 2021 Halloween update, but that's about all I could find. It was probably added just to spook curious players out, or it might be hinting at something much, much bigger. My guess is the former. Up next are more Easter eggs from the extremely fun Brutal John 2. Which is not to be confused with Brutal John 1, which doesn't exist. Now, in the last episode of this series, we found our boy Duke Nukem given us a thumbs up from behind a dumpster, which in typical Duke fashion was located at the back of a strip club. Well, Duke isn't the only FPS legend to make a cameo in this game. During the end of the world level, you can find this guy. So this iron-pumping Chad is the one and only Serious Sam. Unlike Duke, Sam seems to be fit and healthy. Read into that what you will.
Hey, John!
Next up, during level 6, you can find this guy. So this is Aussie YouTuber G-Man Lives, who has reviewed almost every first-person shooter under the sun. Here, G-Man can be seen playing Brutal John 2, but unlike the real G-Man, he's not the talkative type. I mean, the game is still in early access, so who knows if he'll talk when the game is finally released. Now, given its boomer shooter inspirations, you won't be surprised about this next Easter egg. During level 10, you can find this. So this is the famous Dopefish from the Commander King games. Dopefish has become the sort of unofficial mascot for a certain type of first-person shooter, and has appeared in loads of games including his ray-traced 4K path-traced 8K ultra-realistic version found in Doom Eternal, which is still way creepier than it has any right to be. Speaking of first-person shooters, next up is Bus Flipper Simulator. Now, you're probably thinking, Captain Eggcellent, you are so close to 1 million subscribers. I'm going to subscribe right now and help you hit that magical number. And to that, I say thank you. You're very kind. But you're also thinking, Bus Flipper Simulator isn't a first-person shooter. Well, that's where you'd be wrong. During your bus cleaning adventures, you can gather the parts to build your very own arcade cabinet. And after finishing the build, you can do this. So you can leave the whole bus flipping thing behind and enter the world of a Doom-inspired first-person shooter. Now, considering this is just an Easter egg, this Doom/Wolfenstein clone is surprisingly fleshed out, with multiple weapons to use and 3 different levels to play, which is pretty cool. Next up is a reference to another classic first-person shooter. During level 3, which sees you helping our old friend Johnny make his house feel like a home, you can find this. So the creepy parasite toy is a reference to the head crab from Half-Life, spinning the little guy over, and its mouth is still as terrifying as it's always been. The other bus flipper Easter egg is another one that seems to be skirting the copyright infringement line. During level 9, you can find this. So it's Vault Boy from the Fallout series. Like I said, I'm not sure where the line between Easter eggs and copyright infringement is drawn, but as an Easter egg hunting YouTuber, I'm not really that bothered. Now, after covering Twisted Gallery in the last episode of this series, where we discovered what the future of 3D televisions will look like, loads of you mentioned that I missed the best Easter egg in the game, with many of you typing the words "OER," which left me with more questions than answers. Anyway, determined to find out what those words meant, I loaded the game up and found this. Okay, so you lot weren't lying. This is the best Easter egg in the game. This crazy cat is a reference to a meme starring a cat named Ethel that went viral a few years back. And if I'm being honest, this is the first time I've ever heard of that meme. Right, let's end today's video with Shrek Extra Large. Shrek Extra Large is a reworked version of the Shrek game that released for the OG Xbox in March 2002, with Extra Large releasing a few months later for the GameCube in October. I mean, I say it's reworked, it's basically the same game with some minor story and level changes. Now, because it was a Shrek game, and Shrek was bigger than your mum in the early 2000s, Extra Large sold a boatload of copies. But it wasn't very good. I wish I could say that's to be expected, given that it is a licensed game, but a lot of the licensed games that we've played recently have actually been okay. Still, I'm not here to tell you if Shrek was good or not. I'm here to show you one of the best Easter eggs I've ever found. After completing Extra Large, you get access to a cheats menu that lets you basically break the game. Oh, and side note, I used to love it when games did this. You had played the game the way the devs intended, now go out there and have some fun. It was awesome. Anyway, these cheats include things like unlimited farts, which believe it or not is pretty handy, and low gravity, which lets Shrek float like he's never floated before. Well, using this combination of cheats, you're able to get out of bounds on certain levels and explore where you shouldn't. Granted, there's not much to see, but if you fall into the endless void, you will end up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the inside of a GameCube, which is really, really cool. Here you can see all the doodads that make the GameCube work whilst you play the game on your GameCube. Now, once you're here, there is no way out, so you have to reset your console. But I just think it's so clever that you get to explore the internals of a GameCube that this Easter egg is now one of my favourite Easter eggs of all time. Now, I've mentioned before that I'm on the spectrum, and that heavily influences the type of games I enjoy. Well, on the surface of things, pun intended, Water Park Simulator should be right up my street. Repetitive tasks that cause satisfying sound effects to play? Check. Cleaning up mess that causes satisfying sound effects to play? Check. Pushing scared swimmers into the pool which causes satisfying sound effects to play? Check. I mean, everything I love about simulator games is here. But I've never played a sim game more stressful than Water Park Simulator. Seriously, when you first open your park, it's just you. That means cleaning, maintenance, ticket sales, food sales, and everything else is all down to you. And I'm not gonna lie, it can get a bit much. Take the hot dog stand for example. People will queue up for a tasty snack, and you have a limited time to serve them before they get annoyed. But you're obviously busy making sure that people don't drown, so sometimes you do miss them, which is annoying, but it's not the end of the world. Oh, the people that miss their hot dogs, not the drowning people, you probably should save those first. Well, sometimes your hot dog stand can face a much larger issue. So this larger-than-life park goer is a reference to popular Twitch streamer Queso. The sheer amount of disrespect on display here is actually pretty impressive. I mean, when the screen starts shaking and the sound of footsteps gets louder and louder, you might be expecting a T-Rex or something. But no, it's just this guy. Of course, Queso has appeared in multiple games before, including Fears to Fathom and Schedule 1, but no one has done him as dirty as Water Park Simulator. Now, do you remember the creepy eyes we found in the caves on Ready or Not's Rust Belt mission from the last video? I mean, it's kinda hard to forget, as we couldn't work out who or what the eyes belonged to. All we did know is that the eyes blinked. Well, it turns out there is actually a piece of evidence that you can find that speaks of a crying child in the caves. The LSPD carried out a search for the boy, but found nothing. Now, I'm not saying that these eyes belong to a child. I mean, we didn't hear crying in the caves. But if the reports of crying children and creepy eyes aren't enough to keep you out of these caves, I don't know what is. Now, this next Easter egg is debatable, but I thought I would share it just to get your opinion. On the Twisted Nerve mission, you can find this. Now, I'm not going to say anything, but I want to know, who do you think this looks like? Go on, take a guess. Well, I, and quite a few viewers, think that this is a reference to I Show Speed. I mean, it's worth mentioning that this is outside of a meth house, so whoever is responsible for this artwork probably doesn't know what day of the week it is, let alone who Speed is, but it does bear an uncanny resemblance. Like I said, let me know what you think. The other Ready or Not Easter egg is much more straightforward. At the HQ, you can find an arcade Pong machine, which you can actually play. I mean, sure, the city is falling to pieces, but Pong waits for no man. Now, Steam is home to a lot of horror games, but I can count on one hand how many horror games feature an oversized killer beaver. Don't Mess with Boba tells the story of a man who goes to stay in a friend's cabin to escape the hustle and bustle of the city. Shortly after arriving, he breaks a beaver dam and sets in motion a chain of events that no one could have seen coming. You see, this beaver isn't like the other beavers. Apart from his size and glowing red eyes, he's also fought in wars, as seen in these pictures. Now, is Don't Mess with Boba a good game? Well, not particularly, no. But it does have a couple of Easter eggs that I wanted to share, so that's good enough for me. First up, in an abandoned cabin, you can find this. So some of these faces may be familiar, as they are all content creators that played Don't Mess with Boba, including our good old friend Queso, who seems to be everywhere these days. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I know who these people are, but I'm sure that you guys will recognise at least one of them. The other Easter egg from the Killer Beaver Simulator is a little more traditional. The code to enter the basement is this. So the 0451 code is the most popular code in all of video games. Yes, even more so than the Konami code, having featured in loads of games including Deus Ex, Dishonored and Deathloop to name a few.
Old habits die hard.
Oh, and if you are wondering why the beaver is so damn big, inside the basement you can find several empty tubs of protein. I mean, I didn't have beavers down as the gym bro type, but I guess I was wrong. So do you remember our friend Johnny from Bus Flipper Simulator? You know the one, your mum is fond of him and you might have seen him at the doctor's, the dentist or even at the chiropractor's. Well, Johnny's bus starts off in a bit of a state, which he wants you to fix. I suppose there is some things that man can't do. Now, from the outside looking in, the mobile home looks familiar, but I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Heading inside, you can find loads of chemistry equipment and textbooks, but again, I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Well, when you're cleaning, you can also find this. So this is Blue Sky, and though the game is very careful not to say it, this is the same meth that Walter and Jesse cooked in Breaking Bad. So the appearance of the RV, all of the chemistry equipment and the literal meth means that yeah, Johnny has bought himself a meth lab. which is just another job that he can add to his already huge CV. Now, the main Easter eggs in Black Ops 6 Zombies can be so overwhelming that completing one requires you to plan ahead things like food, bathroom breaks, and actual human contact. That's why I personally like these smaller side Easter eggs, because they don't require me to book annual leave from my family. The first of today's side Easter eggs can be found on the Reckoning map. After making your way to the Executive Suite, grab yourself a scoped weapon and zoom in on this picnic blanket. So along with the traditional jump scare sound, this picture will appear on screen. Now, like I said, I'm not into the whole zombies lore, so I don't know who this is, but what I do know is tricking friends into discovering this Easter egg would be pretty funny. The other zombie jump scare can be found on the tomb map. When exploring the ruins, you can find a statue that, when zoomed in on, does this. No, seriously, that's all it does. It turns around and flashes its eyes at you. When you look back, it's gone. This statue can appear in 3 locations, those being here, here, and obviously here. Now, a slow-moving statue with red eyes would be pretty disappointing, but there is more to it. When moving around the map after seeing one of these statues, this will happen.
Face the problems head on, I prefer them head off.
So it's another jump scare. This time it looks like the statue itself, but again, I'm no expert. Now, what's unique about this jump scare is not only do I know how to trigger it, but it can be triggered multiple times in one game. You see, after finding a statue, it will disappear, and it won't appear again until the jump scare has been activated. And when it does appear, it can appear at any one of the 3 previously mentioned locations. Now, to actually trigger the jump scare, you simply need to pick something up. So I kept dropping a weapon and picking it back up again to see it a second time. This is pretty rare for a zombies jump scare. Usually they're a one and done kind of thing. Right, let's end today's video with more of the weird and wonderful Death Stranding 2. Now, despite being a time for celebration, certain holidays or birthdays can make people feel very lonely. And that's why I think this Easter egg is so cool. If you play Death Stranding 2 on your birthday, this will happen.
What? Huh. Happy birthday, buddy! Happy birthday! Yay! It's your birthday!
Yay!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Pizza's here! Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear someone. Happy birthday to you. Oh, happy birthday to me.
So imagine that your birthday isn't something that you like to celebrate, or that it brings up something you'd rather forget. You load up Death Stranding 2 and you're greeted by this cutscene where the entire crew, and Higgs, wishes you happy birthday. I'd like to think that this would make someone's day, which is why I think this Easter egg is brilliant. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, then leaving a like is really appreciated. If you are a fan of Easter eggs and secrets in video games, then perhaps consider subscribing, as that's what this channel is all about. YouTube seems to think that you'll enjoy the video on screen, so go ahead and check that out. And as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.